So Oliver picked up on circularity quite a lot there, and so that leads quite nicely into my next guest, which is Chaline Church. She's the founding partner of 540 World. She's an interior architect, specialising in circular materials and regenerative design specialist, and she enables social environmental wellness through the use of C2C certified materials to create non-toxic spaces for healthy futures. My pleasure to introduce Chaline Church.
So excuse me reading, but I've just finished with a bout of COVID a few days ago, so I'm negative, but I'm a bit brain foggy. So thank you for the opportunity, Martin, to discuss specifiers, and we're going to talk about a few best practices. So my name is Chaline, I'm from 540 World, and we are a circular design specialist company. We mostly work in infrastructure, particularly B2B. Our key consulting partner is the Environment Agency, and we do talk about cradle-to-cradle certified materials for most of the day. So let me just move on. So today there's a lot of scrutiny around certain siloed aspects of the environment, particularly CO2. And this siloed thinking leads to a focus on one area, like CO2 or reducing plastics or pesticides that kill bees, instead of crucial whole system planetary solutions, which is what we want to talk about today. So hopefully some of you have heard about planetary boundary science. If you haven't, please just look that up. There's loads of interesting information about that. But basically, we've now crossed 6 of 9 planetary boundaries. So we need specifiers to specify with regards to all the social, environmental issues. And we've had some of the speakers allude to some of that today. It's no longer okay to specify just looking at costs or even just at carbon. So we need to specify in a much more robust, holistic way for the planet. A vital solution to support specifiers to push back on siloed thinking is the empowering of specifiers to embed multi-category thinking into their strategy. So along with costs and performance, we need to see socio-environmental categories as equally important. We need whole system, joined up, multi-category solutions based on planetary science and third-party verified data. So CO2 is not the most critical issue specifiers need to be considering. Example, the GOES report out of Edinburgh University, presented at COP26 by UK's Dr. Howard Dryden, also well worth looking up, concluded that aquatic pollution is now the largest single threat to the planet, specifically microplastics and chemical pollution, which falls under novel entities of the planetary boundary science. Basically, this will devastate the planet within the next 25 years, even if the world achieves net zero by 2045. And that's my last scary statistic of the day. So basically, we all need to support specifiers with verified case studies, data, and knowledge sharing to fast track their ability to avoid greenwashing and engage with verified innovative products. And I mean evidence-based, third-party certified products and materials such as cradle-to-cradle certified products. Importantly, we've seen that the most successful international regenerative design case studies have fully engaged stakeholders from the beginning, from investors to clients, bankers, architects, designers, all the way through the chain, with contracts fully embedded with KPIs so the specifiers products do not drop off later due to costs. This can and is being done. For example, the Innovative Business Park in the Netherlands, Park 2020, also well worth looking up. So C2C certified is now the global standard for safe, circular and responsibly made products. This evidence-based multi-category approach to assess and certify products' material health, product circularity, clean air and climate protection, water and soil stewardship, and social fairness throughout a product supply chain for their certification, all third-party assessed and verified, supports 11 UN SDGs and all 9 planetary boundaries. It's basically a specifier's dream. So like the Environment Agency recently completed their due diligence in certificates and standards, and in 2021 in May included C2C certified materials as a minimum 25% monetary value in all of their contracts. So we're basically saying industry needs to be trained and fully enterprise future-proofed to include regenerative design throughout their structure, from purposes to networks, governance, and ownership to finance, so throughout the enterprise. This photo is an environmental agency example. Here we helped specify Accoya, which is a acetylated, a modified natural wood. And this was to avoid specifying hardwoods for future fenders. They specified the sustainable softwood Accoya, which is also at it's a cradle-to-cradle certified example at gold level. So it's the highest multi-category sustainable wood you can find, basically. And this was done for the Thames estuary. So they used a multi-category approach, including biodiversity, water stewardship, material health, among others. And when we did the recent investigation, the Accoya one, which is the lighter wood in the middle, had achieved amazing biodiversity. I mean, it looked like a veritable jungle compared to all the other hardwoods with all their toxic coatings. And Accoya doesn't need any coating because the acetylation is a through process throughout the entire wood. It's changed at microbiological levels, so you don't need to have toxic coatings. So with lack of regenerative design regulation, or it's getting better, we're here, over 144 definitions of the circular economy, and the word sustainability not being a protected title, we need specifiers to push for highest design standards to engage with critical concept shifts for substantial change, from low-level compliance, and we spoke a bit about that earlier, thank you, and right up to through sustainable design, which is also fairly low level, right to the high-level regenerative design, which is really what we're saying we need to aim for. And this is not just a pie-in-the-sky hippie culture idea. This is actually to do with science. If we're going to meet planetary boundaries on time, we need to do it collaboratively, and we need to engage with regenerative design, which is basically cradle-to-cradle principles. So we need to engage upper management and all available structures and tools, including contracts, tenders, and KPIs to engage clients and the entire supply chain and stakeholders with regenerative design language, principles, and practice. Will the lack of standardized, robust, multi-category regulation presents specifiers with a sea of confusion, lack of verified, equalized data, and lack of confidence in the product solutions presented, which tends towards reusing products from the past instead of engaging with innovations and best practice products. We need to arm specifiers with data to reduce the perceived higher cost argument, the lower performance argument, new supply chain or service risk arguments. Designing as nature with no pollution, no concept of waste, relying on natural energy and celebrating all diversity from flora to fauna, people to minerals must be supported with evidence-based data from the industry to drive change at pace. I'm just going to go into a couple of examples. This is the Venlo City Hall of 2016. They actually enhanced the air and climate quality, both inside and outside the building. They generate renewable energy without fossil fuel dependency. They created a material bank of healthy assessed materials that can perpetually flow in a biological or technical cycle. They enhance water quality by purifying and recycling water streams. And they also achieved a reduction to 4.7% of lost sick days from 6.2%. So if you know, operational costs are usually around 90% of the building, and I think it worked out to be about 3 million savings. So finally, we need to support specifiers with easy access to tools, including the UK C2C design directory, where you can actually find both related products and cradle-to-cradle certified products, the C2C Products Innovation Institute International Product Registry, and things like My Upcycler's digital library and blockchain like Materium. There's a lot of amazing tools out there, and we really need to educate, train, and give access to specifiers to these tools. Also metrics, AI-enabled marketplace tools. For example, My Upcycler has a digital library, a digital middle section, which is about metrics, gives you all the residual values, including, and gives you either socio-environmental carbon, obviously carbon, etc., etc. And it also has an AI-enabled marketplace at the end module, which basically means you can find products and do urban mining in your local vicinity, and you can sell on your products in a local way as well. So what's possible? This is an example just quickly of the World Trade Center. So they've achieved 95% cradle-to-cradle certified materials in their offices. So it really is possible today. And I think we've got one more example. This is a recent example. This was just taken a couple of days ago. So this is the health clinic about 10 minutes up the way from here in London. It's the first cradle-to-cradle certified multi-materials retrofit, where everything was done in cradle-to-cradle certified, basically in the materials and in the operation. So even the Moser tiles used a cradle-to-cradle certified glue adhesive. So we've got Accoya wood in there, we've got graphenstone paint. So if you design in this way, for example, just if I look at graphenstone paint, 15 litres of graphenstone paint absorbs CO2 to the equivalent of a fully mature 250 kilogram tree. So that particular building is a veritable forest. So if we design cities like that, we actually have a really good chance of not only sorting out CO2, but also methane and all the other toxins, because all of these products, they don't have VOCs or toxins or carcinogens or any of the other toxic material off-gassing that a lot of other materials do. So hopefully that's inspired some of you to think about cradle-to-cradle certified and material banks for your next development.